How often do we examine our relationship with fear? So, in honor of the theme of this first video, I am going to face my fear of public speaking. And I'm going to take you through a journey where we're going to explore a couple of quotes that I think will guide you in your journey facing whatever challenge you're going through. That deep fear that you have is probably the main differentiator between you and what you could be. And I'm going to try and capture that, the gist of these quotes, and see whether we can draw inspiration and learn some lessons from it. So I've picked out 6 themes, and I think I'm going to try and elaborate the meaning of those quotes, what they mean to me, and hopefully they shall inspire you to do something that you've always been terrified of. The disclaimer is fear is a very innate and natural emotion common to almost all living beings, and we've evolved this emotion because it has saved us from a lot of things. It's a basic survival instinct, and so I wouldn't advise you to do something that will cause you physical harm, and that is not the basis of this video. We're just going to evaluate some of the mental hurdles that people need to get through so that they can open new doors for themselves, and maybe challenge themselves to become more, to discover who they are, and to basically push themselves forward throughout this journey. So we're going to divide these quotes into 6 parts, consistent of the major themes I think I got from examining these quotes, and we'll go through them together. So the first one we're going to look at is the concept of opportunity cost. When you choose to pursue a particular venture, you allocate certain resources and time to it, you are automatically forfeiting the opportunity to pursue other ventures or employing your resources to other things. And in the context of fear, we must look at what we risk losing by not doing things in spite of the fear we might have in ourselves. So the first quote I'm gonna look at is by Brian Kranz, and he said that fear is the thief of dreams. So as human beings, we all have things that we aspire to do. Some things, maybe they are inspired by certain gifts or talents you have, or basically a vision you have. So you might want just something simple, like trying to learn a new skill or trying to start a business or a particular venture. This consists of an underlying desire to achieve a particular dream, and so fear robs us of our dreams, and it has an opportunity cost to it, that by choosing fear you are forfeiting certain things that you wanted to achieve. And it's important to realize that not pursuing that thing, succumbing to fear and our doubts, is one of the biggest killers or thieves of our dreams. Second quote we're going to look at is by Ananias Nin, and basically he said that life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. The way I choose to view this particular quote is through the lens of us when we were children and we were introduced to the schooling system. Maybe we are transitioning from kindergarten or nursery to probably lower primary. And one of the things that most kids do is they start crying. They are terrified of the unfamiliar. And if it's not for the deliberate effort of our parents or our guardians just deciding to throw us there and make us face our fears, probably most people would have run away. And it's important to look at things from that lens. And most people gained a lot from that experience. We discovered new friends, we learned a lot of skills, and we use them to this day. And our world was significantly expanded by us feeling the fear and confronting it and just deciding to do and experience that school system. So courage consists of feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And people approaching new people and talking to them expands our world significantly because we discover that people have different experiences and we sometimes form lifelong friendships from these things. And by the same token, the whole schooling experience expanded our viewpoints, and we could analyze things from very different perspectives. And we discover there's more to life than what we had previously grown accustomed to. And we should take that approach in looking at the opportunity costs. So William Shakespeare basically intimated the same theme by saying that our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. So Shakespeare basically tells us that our doubts are traitors and they often make us our destinies in some cases and make us lose out on some opportunities. And when it's purely out of your own imaginations and recognizing that this anxiety or fear or doubt is actually a traitor, will make you make more braver decisions. And I think that sums up the opportunity cost theme. The other concept I'd like to look at is the dual nature of things, and that things often come with attached or together with other things. So one of the concepts that George R. Martin articulates in this quote where he says, "The only time a man can be brave is when he is afraid." We are sometimes conditioned to think that somebody who's brave and somebody who is afraid are totally different people. And this quote brings out that idea that bravery is only possible when somebody does something despite their fear. So bravery and fear go hand in hand, and we shouldn't try to separate them. We should just understand and push through anyway. Another quite ubiquitous or popular quote is the one by Ovid, where he said, "Fortune and love favor the brave." So again, we are confronted with the same dual nature, and we see that fortune and fear go hand in hand. And if you think about it, people who we consider fortunate are people who went out and did things, and in response, they became wildly successful in whatever dimension that is, whether it was material success, whether it was in a different dimension altogether. They had to confront that if they wanted to be fortunate, they had to confront their fear. And this is what Ovid basically articulates. He also brings out the concept of love. And there's nothing as terrifying as that feeling of love towards somebody else. And if you are able to articulate these emotions to somebody else and convey that in a manner that makes them willing to take that journey of love with you, you have basically embraced that dual nature of things. And most people aspire to being either fortunate, whether it's material, and to be lucky in love. And you must recognize that these things go hand in hand. They have a dual nature. So the third theme we are going to look at is the concept of fear being an illusion. So Michael de Montaigne, he said that there are many terrible things in my life, and most of them never happened. This quote is particularly sad and hilarious at the same time. And he is basically confronting the nature of what he basically suffered through just imagination. And we need to realize that fear has an illusory nature to it, and it can paralyze us and make us feel helpless. And basically, when you're anticipating something, and it's important to realize and examine your life in that context. How many things did you feel that really terrified you and never actually came to pass? We're going to examine a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he said that when a resolute young fellow steps up to the great bully, the world, and takes him boldly by the beard, he is often surprised to find it comes off in his hand, and that it was only tied on to scare away the timid adventurers. So automatically you have an automatic sieve that basically separates people, and it's purely a factor of our imagination. And Ralph Waldo basically describes this as what separates the timid adventurers from people who actually go out and succeed out there. So it's never as solid or as concrete as it seems, and often confronting our fears makes us discover that there was nothing to fear at all, and that even if there was, we were up to task, that we were able and have in it in us to conquer whatever is out there in the world. So the fourth theme I'm going to talk about is the conditioning, the education of fear that is propagated through our societies and what we're exposed to. And we're going to look at a quote by Carl Augustus Maine, and it basically reads, "Fears are educated into us and can, if we wish, be educated out." So first, he forces us to recognize the fact that fears are educated into us, but the upside of it is that you can actually educate yourself out of fear. So he brings out that concept of gathering more information and exposing yourself in order to examine what we are taught to fear by society and basically confronting it. He is intimating the fact that fear is sometimes just the basis or a representation of our ignorance, and we should try and do more research and try to explore some of the things that we are taught to fear, whether it's other cultures, other people, and realize that we can actually lift ourselves out of that cocoon and that myopic view of what to fear. Are going to see what Seneca said. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from our imagination than reality. And this brings us the concept of fear as a tool of control. And by my interpretation of this quote, it means that a lot of things are used to scare us that probably wouldn't hurt us. And a lot of the things we are terrified about are very far from reality. And we must learn and recognize what we perceive as being difficult could be actually a matter of just trying to explore that particular thing and seeing that it actually can't hurt us. Public speaking can't hurt us. Talking to that person and finding out who they are and being happily surprised that, hey, yeah, this person is just like me. So we're going to go to the fifth theme, and it's about direction. And we're going to use fear as a tool to direct our lives. Vincent van Gogh said was that, what would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? So everything you see, every grand accomplishment that human beings have ever accomplished in art, music, science, technology, was as a result of people having the courage to just attempt and attempt to do the things that would push them to accomplish these things. And Vincent van Gogh basically says you should use fear as a directing factor, and basically for people who feel like they're particularly lost and they don't know what to do with their lives or where their gifts lie, you should look in the particular. One of the ways you can do that of gaining direction is looking at the things that you're afraid of and working on that. James Joyce also says that mistakes are portals of discovery. So we must change our relationship with mistakes, and it is more important to make a mistake and learn from it and discover, okay, when this situation comes about, I can handle it in a particularly different way. And this is exactly where I went wrong, and that I won't repeat that. In the event of such a scenario, I'll handle it differently. And if you look at toddlers and how they learn how to walk, it's trial and error. It's trial and error. And we as human beings tend to learn that way. And we need to change that whole narrative that mistakes are fatal, and actually a way of discovering what you can do and charting a direction for your own life. So the sixth and final theme is knowing oneself. And if you look at the first quote by Carl Jung, and the fool is the precursor to the savior. So any person that you view as a professional, an elite, a guru, or somebody who has accomplished great success was at one time the proverbial fool, and they had to explore the particular field of endeavor, acknowledge their foolishness, and actually try and improve themselves. And it's basically very powerful to realize that these people who we regard as gurus, and we like to imagine that they were always like that, they were once fools. And in your journey of knowing yourself, you must embrace that realization that you need to work on yourself and to achieve that particular ideal, whether it be on sports or any particular venture that you're trying to start. You have to embrace that not knowing, and you have to have that willingness to learn. Martin Luther King Jr. said that you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. So fear makes us play out scenarios from beginning to end, and we try to imagine what will happen, and we try to see the whole picture. And when we can't, we decide that it's not possible and it can't be done. And basically, Martin Luther King Jr. basically tells us that we don't have to see the whole picture. Look at what you have and use that to propel you to the next level. And you break down problems into small steps, and you try and take the first step and propel yourself to the next level. So the last quote I'm going to look at is a quote by Henry Ford, where he said, "One of the greatest discoveries a man makes, one of the great surprises, is to find that he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do." So this theme of knowing oneself requires one to confront his own fears. And We sometimes think we know what we are capable of, but most of the time we have no clue. And we base our decisions based on a very small understanding of what you're capable of. And this is basically a call to attempting things and seeing what you're capable of and not. And I dare you to try and do something that you find particularly difficult or you view with such dread. And at the very least, it will make you know what you're capable of. At the very best, you shall discover that you are incredibly resourceful. You have people around you who can actually help you meet these goals, and it's a journey of self-discovery. So I think that's a good place to end this video, and I hope you've taken the time to actually read these goals and discover what they mean to you. And maybe in the comment section you can tell me what your interpretation of these goals are. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you like the content, and if you do, please subscribe, and if you know somebody who would benefit from such information, please share. My name is Joe, and welcome to Myth and Rosa. We have a collection of quotes that we post, and one of them is a 20-part series called Wisdom Coalesced, and you can go and just look at the 2-minute video clips and you can draw some inspiration and learn some things and have fun. And yeah, be inspired, be edified. Bye bye, until next time.